Your life is fine. Objectively, things are good. You have what you need. People who care about you. Opportunities ahead. So why do you feel restless? Why are you searching for the next problem to solve? The next crisis to manage? The next drama to engage with? Because you're addicted to problems. Nietzsche saw this 150 years ago. He called it ressentiment, a sickness where you need suffering to feel alive. And until you understand it, you'll keep creating problems you don't actually have. The problem. Let me show you what this looks like. You solve a major problem in your life. Quit the toxic job, leave the bad relationship, fix the financial mess. And for a moment you feel relief. Peace. Space to breathe. Then the restlessness starts. You feel bored, empty, like something's missing, so you find a new problem. You pick a fight with someone. You create drama where none existed. You take on someone else's issue and make it yours. Not because you need to, because you need the problem. I've watched this in my own life. The moment things stabilize, I get uncomfortable. I start looking for what's wrong, what needs fixing, what crisis requires my attention. Not because there's a real crisis, because I don't know who I am without one. Or this, you're in a good relationship. It's healthy, stable, no major issues, but your mind keeps searching. What's wrong? What are we not talking about? What problem are we avoiding? You manufacture conflict, not consciously, but you pick at small things. Turn minor disagreements into major ones. Create tension because peace feels too empty. Your partner says something slightly off, your old self would let it go. But you can't. You need to address it, dissect it, turn it into a conversation, a problem, something to solve. Because if there's no problem, what's the relationship even for? Or this one. You finally have free time, no deadlines, no obligations, space to rest. And you immediately fill it. You overcommit. You take on new projects. You create emergencies. You stay busy solving problems, real or imagined, because the alternative is sitting with yourself. And that terrifies you. You scroll through your calendar looking for gaps. And when you find one, you fill it. A meeting, a commitment, a problem to solve. Because empty time feels like wasted time. And if you're not solving something, what are you even doing? This is what Nietzsche identified as ressentiment. A resentful, reactive way of living where you define yourself by what you're against, what you're fighting, what you're overcoming. You're not living, you're problem solving, and you're addicted to it. The worst part? You don't even realize it. You think you're being productive, responsible, engaged, but Nietzsche would tell you, you're avoiding life by staying busy with problems. The mistake. Here's what you're doing wrong. You've made struggle your identity. You're the person who overcomes. The fixer, the fighter, the one who handles the hard stuff. And that sounds noble. It sounds like strength. But Nietzsche would tell you it's a trap. It's a way of avoiding the real question. Who are you without the problem? He wrote about this in On the Genealogy of Morals. He described people who live in ressentiment, a French word meaning resentment, but deeper. It's a worldview, a posture toward life. People in ressentiment define themselves by what they oppose. They need enemies. They need obstacles. They need suffering to validate their existence. Nietzsche saw this in Christianity, or at least a certain version of it. The idea that virtue comes through suffering, that you're good because you endure, that your value is measured by what you overcome. It's slave morality, Nietzsche called it, not because it's weak, but because it's reactive. It waits for the world to provide problems, then defines itself by fighting them. And here's the trick. If your identity is built on overcoming, you need something to overcome. So you keep yourself in a state of struggle, not consciously. But you unconsciously create problems to solve because without them, you don't know who you are. Your mind finds the conflict, amplifies the issue, makes the small thing big, turns peace into a problem. Because peace is scarier than struggle. Struggle is familiar. It gives you purpose. It gives you something to do. But peace asks you to just be. and you don't know how to do that. Nietzsche's framework. Nietzsche didn't just diagnose this, he offered a way out. He called it Amor Fati, love of fate. But it's deeper than acceptance. It's affirmation. He wrote, "My formula for greatness in a human being is Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity, not merely bear what is necessary, but love it." This isn't passive, it's not resignation. It's the opposite of resentiment. Resentiment says, life is wrong, I am right, I must fix it. Amor Fati says, life is what it is, I affirm it, I create within it. The difference is massive. Resentiment is reactive. You wait for problems, then respond. Your energy is spent fighting, resisting, overcoming. Amor Fati is creative. You affirm what is, then create what comes next. Your energy is spent building, making, becoming. Nietzsche also talked about the Übermensch, the overman, not a superhuman, not someone who overcomes all problems, but someone who creates their own values, who doesn't need external struggle to define themselves. The overman doesn't ask, what problem should I solve? They ask, what do I want to create? They don't need resentment. They don't need enemies. They don't need struggle to feel alive. They create because creation is valuable. They build because building matters. They love because love is an act of will, not a reaction to conditions. This is the shift from problem addiction to creative affirmation, and it's terrifying because it means sitting with peace. It means not manufacturing drama. It means facing the void and choosing to create something from it, not because you have to, but because you can. Why it fails. So why do we stay addicted to problems? First, it's familiar. You've spent years, maybe your entire life, solving problems. It's what you know. It's your comfort zone. Even if it's uncomfortable. Peace feels foreign. Uncomfortable. Like you're doing something wrong. I've seen this in myself. The moment things stabilize, I start getting anxious, searching for the next issue, the next thing to fix. Because stability feels like stagnation. But it's not stagnation. It's peace. And I don't know what to do with it. Second, it gives you purpose. When you're fighting something, you have a reason to get up, a mission, a goal. Your problem becomes your identity. You're the person who overcomes, the survivor, the fighter. And that sounds noble. But it's a trap. Because when the problem is solved, you lose your purpose. And rather than find a new purpose, one that's creative, not reactive, you find a new problem. You keep yourself in struggle because struggle is familiar. It's meaningful. It's who you are. But when there's nothing to fight, you're left with the harder question, what do I actually want to create? That question is scarier than any problem. Third, it protects you from yourself. As long as you're busy solving problems, you don't have to face the deeper issue. You don't know who you are without them. Your identity is built on struggle. And if you stop struggling, you have to rebuild. You have to discover who you are when life is okay. That's the real work. And it's harder than any problem you'll ever solve. Fourth, society rewards it. We glorify hustle, grind, overcoming, the hero's journey, the comeback story. We don't glorify peace. We don't celebrate the person who has no drama, who isn't fighting anything, who's just creating. So you unconsciously seek problems because problems make you interesting. They give you a story. They make you the protagonist. But you're not the protagonist of a survival story. You're the author of a creative one. And that shift from protagonist to author is everything. Fifth, it protects you from responsibility. When you're solving problems, you're reacting. You didn't create the problem, you're just dealing with it. But when you're creating, you're choosing. And choice means responsibility. If you build something and it fails, that's on you. If you create something and it's not good, that's yours to own. Problems let you hide from that responsibility. Creation forces you to face it. What changes? So what happens when you stop addicting yourself to problems? You stop manufacturing drama. You let small things be small. You don't escalate. You don't search for conflict. You sit with peace, even when it feels uncomfortable. Someone says something slightly annoying. Your old pattern, escalate it. Turn it into a problem, have the fight. Your new pattern, let it be small. Don't engage, move on. Not because you're repressing, because it's actually small, and you're not addicted to making it big. You start creating instead of reacting. You ask, what do I want to make? What do I want to build? What matters to me? Not, what's wrong? What needs fixing? What can I fight? You shift from problem solver to creator, and that changes everything. Instead of spending your energy on drama, you spend it on something that didn't exist before you made it. A project, a skill, a relationship, a body of work. Creation is harder than reaction, because reaction is given to you. Creation requires you to choose, but creation is also more fulfilling, because you're building, not just surviving. You stop needing enemies. You don't need someone to be against. You don't need obstacles to validate your existence. You affirm life as it is, and then you choose what to do with it. Nietzsche called this the difference between slave morality and master morality. Slave morality defines itself by what it opposes. I'm good because I'm not like them. It's reactive, resentful. Master morality defines itself by what it creates. This is what I value. This is what I build. It's affirmative, creative. You're no longer the hero overcoming the villain. You're the artist creating the work. You become free. Not free from difficulty, life will still be hard, but free from the need for difficulty, free from the addiction to struggle. You don't manufacture problems, you don't cling to drama, you don't need enemies. You're free to create, to affirm, to build. And ironically, when you stop needing problems, you become better at solving them. Because you're not attached to them, you're not defining yourself by them. You solve them when they arise, then you move on. You don't linger, you don't rehash, you don't make them your identity. You live Amor, Fati. Nietzsche lived this. He was chronically ill, isolated, misunderstood. He had every reason to resent life, but he didn't. He wrote, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." Not because he loved suffering, but because he refused to let it define him. He affirmed it. Then he created anyway. That's Amor, Fati. That's the overman, that's freedom, and it's available to you. Right now. The moment you stop addicting yourself to problems and start creating meaning. Practice. Here's what you do this week. Day 1-2. Identify your problem addiction. Write down the problems you're currently engaged with. Be brutally honest. Which ones are real? Which ones did you manufacture? Which ones are you clinging to because they give you identity? Day 3-4. Notice when you're searching. Pay attention to the moments when you're at peace and you start searching for a problem, when you're picking at something, when you're creating conflict that doesn't need to exist, when you're looking for what's wrong. Catch yourself. Then stop. Don't fill the peace. Sit with it. Let it feel uncomfortable. Day 5-7. Create instead. Ask yourself, if I'm not solving this problem, what would I create instead? Not what you should create. What you want to create. Then start. Even if it's small. Even if it's imperfect. Write one page. Build one thing. Learn one skill. Connect with one person. Create instead of react. Affirm instead of resent. That's the shift. And here's the hard part. You might feel guilty. Like you're abandoning your problems, like you're being selfish, but you're not abandoning anything. You're choosing differently. You're choosing creation over reaction, affirmation over resentment, freedom over addiction. That's not selfish. That's sanity. Nietzsche would tell you, the overman doesn't overcome problems. The overman transcends the need for them. You become someone who creates, not someone who survives, and that changes everything. And if this hit you, leave a comment. What problem are you addicted to that you don't actually need to solve? Be honest. This isn't about judgment. It's about awareness. And awareness is the first step. I read every comment. And sometimes the ones that hit hardest are the ones that change the most. And if you want more philosophy that breaks the patterns you didn't even know you had, The unconscious scripts, the hidden addictions, the lies you tell yourself. Subscribe. We're going deep. Nietzsche, Sartre, Camus, Frankl. The thinkers who didn't just describe problems, they showed you how to transcend them. No fluff, just ideas that change how you live. See you in the next one.